Good morning, all, and thank you for attending this last session of the morning talking about cross-border payments. So after the previous session, maybe you have already realized that in MasterCard, we are not only covering card rail services. So the thing is that, of course, we are providing to all our customer solutions for card payments, but on top of this, and considering all the digital ecosystem and the new needs and demands from our customers, we are also providing new flows to cover all these additional payments that are required for our merchants, for the end users, for the financial institutions. And this is why MasterCard, some years ago, has decided to include new flows to cover these new needs of the market. And here we have some examples. So we talk about open banking, the previous session, where the solution has been explained. Of course, we have solutions related to crypto, blockchain, the new economy. And today we are going to talk about cross-border payments. So talking about account to account, sending money abroad to different payout options. In this ecosystem, of course, when people are sending money to other people outside, because it can be like a person sending money to a familiar, a relative, or a friend that is living abroad, or it can be a company paying the suppliers. The thing is that the customers have same expectations as they have for their current payment that they do on a daily basis. So they expect some fast, secure, and flexible payments. What happens in this ecosystem? That they don't have the same speed. So for these payments, normally it can take even days to receive the payments. There is lack of transparency. So for the customers and the entities sending these payments, sometimes they don't know the status of the transaction, when the receiver is going to get the money, or even the fees, all the fees that are going to be applicable end-to-end to the ecosystem. And of course, customers are demanding this flexibility. So today we are going to discuss about these new cross-border flows, the market, the trends. And for this, we have Domenico here, that is our expert for Europe in this ecosystem. So Domenico, how do you see this market, the trends? How is this growing?
Yeah, first of all, good morning, everyone. Let's start with the size of the market. The international payment market is worth 23 trillion US dollars in 2021, and is expected to double in the next 5 years. So it's a huge market. It's growing fast. And the reason why the market is growing is the organic growth driven by inflation, international commerce, the traditional remittances, with more and more people living and working outside their native country. But it's also going for new use cases, fast-growing new use cases. The ones that you were mentioning before: gambling, crypto wallets, international commerce, marketplaces, digital giants, all leveraging the international payments in their business. And if we focus on Europe, Europe is the first or the second region globally for international payments, depending on how you consider the SEPA payments. The first 6 markets in the region accounts for 2/3 of the total value. Spain, we are in Spain, is the 4th market in Europe. So it's a very relevant region. It's the first or the second, as I said before, and is growing. In terms of trends, I can mention 3 key trends now. The first one is the digitization. This is, of course, common to many industries. It's not only cross-border, but in cross-border is very relevant. Even before the pandemic, 26 million apps were downloaded specific for cross-border payments, and the pandemic, of course, accelerated the trends. So digitization is clear. Digital banks, fintechs are launching apps or services for international payments, and we are experiencing connected to the digitization, a growing relevance of alternative payout channel. Traditionally, the international payment is bank-to-bank or cash-to-cash. What we are experiencing now is that alternative payout option, alternative funding option like digital wallet or cards are growing fast. The third trend that is more a consolidation than a news is the attitude of player offering the service to final user to adopt a multi-vendor approach. So today they use banks, MTOs, network providers like MasterCard, and combine the service that these providers offer based on the type of transaction, the receiving market, the payout option. So it's no longer the situation of one vendor fits all, but is multiple vendor approach.
No, thank you. And this is very interesting in this market that is growing and is expected to grow in the coming years. So how are the new players competing in this ecosystem? So what use cases do you see they are offering to the customers?
I think we can group the use cases in two macro categories. No? One is the B2B or business to person and government to person category. The second one is P2P and traditional remittances. And competition and the way players compete are different in these two macro categories. If we focus on B2B, today more than 90% of volumes, depending on the markets, depending on the regions, are still represented by banks and the corresponding banking model, so they are still dominating. But we are experiencing fintechs entering the market and, of course, competing with their traditional levers. So transparent and competitive price, user experience, real time, a wide set of services combined with the cross-border. If we look at P2P and remittances, the situation is different because here the role of the bank is smaller, is smaller than in B2B. The market is dominated by money transfer operator, the traditional players that offer the remittances service, and there are few data that are very interesting for us because I make the example for the Italian market, but it's the same in other markets in Europe. We have up to 60% of migrants or traditional disbursers that have a bank account or some financial instrument, but only 10% of them use banks to send money back home. So it's not unusual to see someone withdraw money from the ATM and then move to the close physical exchange house to send money home. So in this space, what we are seeing is that, again, fintech and digital players are offering a fully digital solution to manage cross-border payment and remittances, but even banks are looking for alternative way to serve these flows. So interesting, different categories, different competitive scenarios, but a lot of things are progressing.
No, but listening to you, I have the impression that somehow the solutions are converging, and now that traditional banks are also offering these P2P payment flows to their customers, and the non-traditional players are also building solutions or being attracted by the new B2B flow. So somehow they are building just like let's say, embedded combined solution, and you can have your traditional bank that normally provides you with the credit card, banking account, and everything, also offering to you, to final customers, to send money, cross-border payments, and also on the other side, so the entities providing B2B services, so let's say lending for SMEs that are now also offering the option for payments, including cross-border and domestic. So yeah, for sure, very interesting timing. Let's see how these solutions are going to evolve. And yeah, I would like to know in this ecosystem, what's the vision of MasterCard? How is MasterCard approaching this market?
Yes, of course we are B2B2X providers, so we don't want to offer the solution to the final customer. but we are trying to offer a solution that is frictionless, convenient, and competitive to our partner. We are replicating what we did with the core business, in few words. So we are building a network of partners to allow people send and receive money globally, across the globe. And we are offering to our partners with one single connection, mainly API, but with some alternatives, the access to more than 100 markets in the world, reaching more than 90% of global population. And with the same connection, we enable 4 payout channels. So we can enable send to bank account, send to wallet, send to card, and more roughly 300,000 locations for cash out in the world. The ambition is to address the pain point that you were mentioning before. So we want to work on the speed. We offer real-time transfer in more or near real-time transfer in more than 40 markets globally. Price, our price is transparent, is well known upfront, with no lending fee, no hidden cost. The tracking that you were mentioning before, so through our API, it's possible to track real-time the status of the transaction, and this is very important both in business and P2P transfers, and the efficiency, because again, one connection enables all the markets and all the use cases.
No, and I believe that these solutions are very interesting. We know that in this ecosystem, we have different players offering the solution, traditional banks with the model of corresponding banking. We have like now new digital players that are offering to the final customers new products more on a digital perspective, allowing them to use different payment methods. So I would like to focus now on some use cases. Can you share with us some use cases that are already live, the information that you can say here, of course?
Yeah, sure. Without disclosing any name or sensitive information, I can give 2 examples that for me are interesting given the panel and the situation today. One is the B2B. And I'm thinking about the account payable and ERP solution provider. So today, this kind of provider offers service like account payable accounting, account payable reception, document exchange, reconciliation, all services that are not directly linked to the payment. In the payment space, they often, but not always, offer the possibility to generate payment instruction file that are then sent to the bank for the execution of the payment. Of course, if we focus on the payment side, they are facing a challenge. The challenge is the scale, because in order to have this payment instruction file processed, they need to have one-to-one connection with banks. And of course, this takes time. They can reconnect it to all banks in the world. So this is limiting their ability to scale up. What we are doing with a few partners in this space is embedding our solution in their core offer. So they embed the MasterCard cross-border services in their account payable process tool or ERP solution to fully automate the account payable process. So the reason why we believe this solution is successful is because we solve, of course, the pain points that we mentioned before, speed, transparency, tracking, but we also help corporates to work with multiple banks account because we are bank agnostic, so we can work with all bank accounts with the same connection. We can be efficient because we are embedded already in the core solution, so let's say the implementation is much easier, and we can enable a fully automated process to manage the account payables. Again, this is one of the examples that we were mentioning before. So it's a non-traditional player embedding and enhancing the standard proposition, non-financial, with a money transfer solution and payment solution. The second example that, again, I think it's interesting is about business-to-person payment. So we are working with a few players in the shipping business and that are specialized in salary payment. The way today the employers, so the shipping companies, pay salary is either through bank account or most of the time in cash. They pay cash because the seafarers are usually unbanked or they are used to cash. So the process is the employer send the cash in the port, wherever in the world. They pay salary in cash, and the seafarer use the cash to go in the physical exchange house to send money back home. So what we are doing with this player is to create an holistic solution that embeds one basic payment instrument, like a card or a bank account, with our cross-border services. And the cross-border services is used in two ways. The first step is to pay salaries. So through cross-border service, they transfer money into cards of the digital wallet. And the second step is offering our cross-border services within the digital wallet or the app to allow seafarers to digitally send back money home. And let's say the benefit is clear because it's a way for the seafarer to have a digital solution to avoid the inconvenient experience of managing cash and moving into physical store to send back money home. There is one thing that is interesting of this second use case is that first of all this is applicable in many other use cases. So if we think at gig economy, if we think of marketplaces, if we think of all the situation where the receiver of the money can be unbanked, can live in an exotic corridors, or is used to cash. In all these situations, our solution and this approach can be a winning approach. The second thing that for me it's very interesting is the ESG angle, because this is a tangible and concrete way to work on the financial inclusion, because it's a way to convert cash users, usually heavy cash users, in electronic money users. And we know that this is a common goal for MasterCard, but all the partners in the ecosystem.
Yeah, no, indeed, I see this very interesting that I know that the entities that are trying to build a solution to provide this type of payments have also a lot of challenges, as we have discussed, because they need to have all this agreement with all the banks in order to be able to send payments, which is very difficult, and even it has a lot of additional costs. And obviously we have also all the regulatory complaints because they need to comply with the regulation, and the regulation in this type of payments is not easy. So it's very helpful for them to work with organizations like us that can also support on this phase.
No, that's true, because although we are, as a network provider, what we do is supporting and integrating our partners' AML and fraud systems. So we are not, of course, we will never be responsible for AML because this is not our role, but we will support them in managing all the AML checks. So, and we will let's say, assign a scoring to each transaction, and we will let them understanding if the transaction is a safe one, is a risky one, we can stop the transaction, we can send back the transaction asking for additional information. So this is part of the value proposition that we are offering. Yeah.
No, thank you. I believe that it has been very interesting. It's a growing market. I believe that customers are demanding more and more this type of payments. And also, I would like to mention the importance of the speed. So it's great that we have solutions that now can allow customers to send payments to other countries, even if we are sending payments to Brazil or China, and that customers can receive the payments in real time. So I believe that this is key. And it's also important that they can integrate the solution just with one API that can allow them to send payments to this high footprint. So I don't know if you want to mention anything else. If not, I believe that we can open to questions from the audience in case they have any questions about cross-border payments, the solution, the digital players, the competition.
Hi, Domenico. You've talked about a number of use cases. Do you see any special region in Europe with the greater vision of opportunity, or any of these specific use cases that you mentioned, B2B or P2P, or is this common across all Europe?
No, it's across all Europe. I mean, we are working with partners in most of the countries. Of course, there are markets that are more advanced than others. I think of UK, of course, but even Spain, because we have some partners here, even here in Spain. But I would say that the trend is across most of the countries in Europe. It's a global trend, to be honest, because we have the use cases that we were mentioning before are use cases that are European use cases, but in some cases are also the same player that are offering the service outside Europe. So it's really a global trend. I mean, the market is asking for the service. As I said before, the market is growing fast. The profitability is huge. Cross-border, for the reason that I mentioned before, so the number of people that are banked but use other players to send money is also a way for new entrants, for new players to attract customers, because it's a way to engage customers. So the demand is there. And I also like the fact that this is not just fintech and digital banks entering the market and offering the solution, but it's also banks that are rethinking about the way they are serving the customer, because they are aware that there are opportunities in the B2B and threats in the B2B, so they are actively looking for alternative solutions.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So we were actually just discussing here internally, meanwhile, about the concerns regarding KYC or KYB. So from the one sending to the one receiving the money. How do you address, that challenge or that concern that some banks or other parties may have?
Yeah. Okay. On the KYC side, of course, the KYC is not our responsibility. So we are banks or fintech or licensed entities that are responsible for KYC. What we do on the AML side is, as I said before, we assign a scoring to each transaction. So each transaction that goes through our network will be flagged, will be treated in three ways. If the scoring is good, is fine, we process the transaction. If we have some doubt, we pause the transaction, we put the transaction on hold, and we ask for an integration of the information. And once we receive the information, we execute the transaction. The third case is that we decline the transaction, because I make an example. If someone is sending a transaction in a blacklist country, we can't process the transaction. We simply block the transaction. So this is the way we integrate the AML policies within the bank.
Okay, so if we don't have any additional questions, I believe that we can close this session. Thank you all. This is the last session that MasterCard is going to have here. So I would like to thank you all, not only for attending this session, but for having been with us the whole morning. So thank you on behalf of MasterCard. We are going to be here and the rest of our colleagues, so in case you have like any additional questions or want to contact us, you can do it. Yeah, thank you all and see you next year here.